Hi Foxes, and welcome back to my channel. This is Brittany from SHOPFOXBURROW. I am SHOPFOXBURROW on Poshmark, Instagram, and Etsy. And today I am here with a video that is more on the educational side. So you may have noticed that I was gone last week. I was staying silent to give that space to my Black and brown allies to kind of spread the information that needed to be spread about the civil rights movement that is going on right now. And I've sort of been waffling back and forth about posting this week, whether or not I wanted to. I've definitely noticed that there's not a lot of content on YouTube right now that people are coming out with. And I think part of that is the pandemic and there not being a lot to talk about in terms of like thrift hauls or everything being normal or having good sales. But I wanted to put this out there because it's more on the educational side, and I have decided that for this video and for future videos for a little while anyway, I am going to donate to a different organization that benefits Black and brown and just marginalized peoples for each video that I publish. So this video is actually going to benefit the Navajo Nation Recovery Fund for the COVID-19 crisis. They are being hit especially hard, and I just wanted to do a little bit to contribute to their dilemma at the moment. So that is the organization that is going to get some money for this video. I'm doing $20. It's not a lot, but I don't actually make any money here on YouTube. I'm not monetized. My channel's not big enough yet. It is something I'm working towards. And in the future, maybe I will see about donating a portion of what I make to voices that need to be heard over mine. But for the time being, that is what I'm doing. Before I start giving you some information on this, I did just want to preface this by saying that I've been on Etsy since 2008. I have gone through many changes with them. I have done a ton of research over time about how to make sales, what the best way to show up in the algorithm is, and just kind of kept abreast of what is going on within the search parameters on Etsy. And on my handmade shop, I have sold over 13,000 pieces. And in my vintage shop, I have sold over, I think, 1,200 pieces. So I do know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go over a couple of things that can help you to show up in the search results and get more sales on Etsy. So as I go through this, I'm going to pop up little videos of me actually doing some of these things or showing how some of these things work on the Etsy site. The first thing that you want to do is to understand the importance Etsy gives to the different aspects of the listing. So the first and most important thing on Etsy is your title. And so the ranking kind of goes your title, your tags, and then your description. You can have quite a long title on Etsy, so the importance of the title goes from the beginning to the end. So you want to have your most important and relevant tags at the beginning, and then you want to have your maybe more like descriptor words towards the end of your title. If you import over from Poshmark using an app like Vendoo, like I do, you can add more keywords to the title of your listing. I am actually not very good at this just because I am looking for speed when I cross post, but if I were focusing on SEO, I would add more keywords to my title and they would be in order of importance. So you might say 1970s rainbow fit and flare dress, and then maybe after that you would put like spaghetti straps or pockets or just other keywords that make sense with the item that you are trying to sell that somebody might search for. So knowing that the title is the most important part, if you focus on one thing, do focus there. The second most important thing that you can do is fill out your tags on Etsy. So unlike other platforms, Etsy has a dedicated spot for you to put in keywords that factor into people's search results, that don't necessarily have to do 100% with the item itself. So let me give an example of that. If I am selling a set of vintage garden stakes and they have herb names on them, one of my tags will probably be gifts for gardeners, because that is something that people would type into the search box and it is relevant to my item, but not in the way that I would put in the title. So the way that the keyword tags work on Etsy is that you want them to be a string of characters that is actually a phrase that someone might search. So you're not going to have two different tags that say 1970s and dress. You would have one tag that says 1970s dress, or you would have one tag that says small 1970s dress or small rainbow dress. So you want it to be something that if you were going to go up to the search bar on Etsy and type in what you were looking for, you want to try and get that in your keyword phrase box, but you only have 20 characters to do so. When I am at a loss for what to put in, there are two things that I like to do. One is to go up to the search bar and try and type in what I might type in if I were looking for the item that I am selling. A drop-down list will come up, and that will be a number of searches that are popular enough on Etsy to be cataloged just in the same way that Google catalogs. If you type in like how old is, they might fill it in for you. This is the same thing except on Etsy. So if you go up to the search bar and you type in vintage dress, what you'll probably see pop up is vintage dress for women or some other variation of those keywords. So you can use the drop-down box on Etsy. You can think about it in terms of what you would search for, or you can actually search for it, try to find an item that is similar, and then you can go down. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the listing, you will see a series of tags that someone else has used, and you can draw inspiration from those. Now, the first 3 or 4 that have caps at the beginning, those are going to actually be your item category. So your item category is also actually classified as a tag. So for example, if you have an item category of vintage clothing, women's dress, those are not tags that you need to use because they are already considered a tag because they are your item category. Now let's just say after that, you're still at a loss, you still have more keywords, or you just don't want to go through all of that work. You can use a couple of websites that have tag generators for Etsy. So if you go to these websites and you type in the item that you have, in generalized terms, it will give you a number of relative search terms that are popular on Etsy that are related to your item or what you typed in, and then you can sort of use those. The more that you list on Etsy, the more that you kind of know which keywords you're going to be using. Your keywords for a 1970s dress aren't going to vary that much. You might have like 8 keywords that are the same and then 5 keywords that are different depending on, you know, what the dress is that you are selling. But for the most part, you start to get a hang of what tags you are going to be using. So another tip to make more sales on Etsy is to use their wonderful sale feature to run sales relatively regularly. People on Etsy do love a sale, and Etsy promotes when shops have sales. So if you're seeing that you're not getting a lot of traction, and you are listing, you know, a couple of items a week, you are listing semi-regularly, you're having activity on your account, but you're just not seeing those sales come through, go ahead and start a sale on your Etsy shop. I find that even a 10% sale can definitely generate revenue. My sweet spot on Etsy is the 20 to 25% off range, but definitely I do run 10% sales, and I have people that purchase at 10%. And I have people that purchase at full price. But what I'm saying is, if you are having trouble making those full price sales and you have that wiggle room to go ahead and use the Etsy sale feature to join in and have a sale on Etsy. Another thing I want to say is that Etsy will really try and get you to offer free shipping on their platform. And while I do think that it helps with some buyers, I have found that it is 100% not necessary. So on my handmade shop, I offered, as per Etsy, free shipping on orders of $35 and up. And that would mean that they either had to buy like 3 or 4 pouches, possibly 2, depending on what they purchased. And for the most part, people just bought what they wanted and then paid the shipping costs because my shipping costs were relatively low. On my vintage shop too, I do the cheapest shipping that I can offer, but I also don't have free shipping on most of my items. I don't have free shipping if you spend over $35, and I do make sales there. I have been averaging somewhere around $1,000 a month on Etsy with pretty minimal effort, I would say. Don't fall into the trap that you have to have free shipping to be seen on Etsy and to have your items sell. It is not true. So one more thing about selling on Etsy is that you really want to try to focus on aesthetics. So people come to Etsy to be inspired. Sort of vintage boutique look, or the staged look, or the styled look is very popular on Etsy. You can have a background that is not pure white. They definitely encourage and promote unique photography on Etsy. You know, take some liberties and try some new stuff, or to just make your photos stand out. The more aesthetic that your closet is, or that your Etsy shop is, the more that people are going to gravitate towards your photos in the big feed of different photos and click on your item. And that will take them to your shop where they might see another item that they like and end up purchasing. If you are not able to have, really great photos, don't let that stop you from posting on Etsy. I would definitely say that, shops that don't have necessarily that like styled vibe do still sell things, especially if you are willing to offer a deal or a bargain. People are always up for that. So I hope that gave you a couple of ideas on how to get started, making those sales on Etsy, and what you can kind of do to better your listings and make them more visible. There is tons and tons of information about selling on Etsy, but the thing is, there's not a lot of it on YouTube. So if you are looking for more information about selling on Etsy, what I would recommend checking out is the Etsy blog and the Etsy forums. You can actually find quite a bit of information there about other people's success stories. I will say that there is sort of a tendency on Etsy to kind of hold close to your chest what you are doing that is successful, and so you don't see a ton of people talking about how they're finding success, but you can find some information if you look, and Etsy's website itself and the forums in particular are a really great place to start. So let me know down below what your questions are about Etsy, if I can help you make more sales. There are a lot of different things that go into having an Etsy shop. I always like to tell friends who ask that it's really not as easy as it is made out to be. The understanding and the grasp of exactly how the Etsy algorithm works takes a lot of time, and unfortunately, there's no like quick and easy way around it, but I do hope that these tips gave you kind of insight into what you can do right now to increase the visibility of your Etsy listings. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will tune in for my next video. I don't know what it's gonna be, but hopefully it will be out next week. I am not holding myself to anything right now with these crazy times, but yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.